Alright, so this lesson is all about graphing horizontal and vertical lines. So there's a couple things to keep in mind when we're graphing horizontal and vertical lines. If we have x equals something, x equals a number, that's going to be a vertical line. And vertical lines go up and down. And likewise, if I have y equals a number, that's going to be a horizontal line. Going side to side. So those are a couple things to keep in mind as you start drawing your lines for these graphs. So let's look at our first example. Our first example is y equals -1. So again, looking at my notes here, y equals -1 is going to be a horizontal line. So looking at my pencil, I want to make a horizontal line at -1. So knowing that this top part of my graph is a positive part of my graph, and below the x-axis is my negative part of my graph. And I want y equals -1. So it looks like I'm going to put my line right here where my pencil's at -1. And I draw my line horizontally, straight across there. Looking at example 2, I have y equals -4. Again, that's another horizontal line. So again, if I put my pencil horizontally, and I'm looking for y equals -4, again, I know the top part of my graph is the positive part above the x-axis. Below the x-axis is my negative part. So if I'm looking for y equals -4, again, I'm going to come to -4 and draw my horizontal line across the graph. In my next example, I have x equals -3. X equals is a vertical line. And vertical lines go up and down, so again I'm looking for a vertical line going up and down at x equals -3. Now to the right side of my y-axis is the positive part of my graph, and to the left side of my y-axis is my negative part. So again, if I'm looking for x equals -3, which is a vertical line, I'm going to come over here to -3, and I'll draw my line vertically through -3. And for our last example, x equals -1. Again, I know this is a vertical line as well. And I'm looking for a vertical line that goes through -1. So again, knowing that to the right side of my y-axis, that's going to be the positive part of my graph, and to the left side of my y-axis is the negative part of my graph. So if I want x equals -1, I'm looking right here to draw a vertical line through -1.